Today I've come up with a new strategy for McClellan to try at Antietam. Rather than trying to cross at the middle bridge or the lower bridge, I'm going to try crossing at the lower fords, at Snavely's Ford and Myers Ford. To that end, you'll notice I've placed no troops across the Antietam, no one coming through on Jackson's left. If this works, it will work once. The next time you try, the Confederate player will be prepared. But if he prepares for that, where is he unprepared? And so it goes. Now here I've got my movement sticks, and here I've got my divider set to 1/3 of a foot move. Very useful when checking retreats or fields of fire. The first chit drawn is the artillery. Next it's the Union cavalry. Then 2nd Corps advances. Burnside advances with the 9th Corps. Porter's 5th Corps advances forward. Then Mansfield's 12th advances. Hooker moves past the lower bridge. And last of all to move, finally, are the Confederate corps under Jackson and Longstreet. There's nothing visible within range of the artillery, though they notice the Union artillery is massing on their right. He has Anderson refuse his right flank, though there seems nowhere for McLaws to be positioned that will allow him to guard the crossing. That was early morning, now we move to mid-morning. Lee has Stuart bring his cavalry over to the right. Longstreet is drawn next, and he does not want to go before the artillery, so he rolls to delay, and he is successful. When Sumner's 2nd Corps chit is drawn, McClellan attempts to jump ahead with the artillery reserve, and he is successful. In the extreme Union left, the artillery fires on the Confederate troops opposite on Snavely's Ford. They become spent, but they hold their position. On their right, the rest of the artillery opens up across Myers Ford, with little effect. Sumner's Corps shifts south opposite the lower bridge. Next Hooker is drawn, and he wishes to delay. But he cannot. His roll fails. He commits and surges across the ford. Next, Longstreet's drawn, and he intends to make crossing the ford very tough. Let us throw those blue bellies back. And next Jackson hatches a plan to move with vigor on the Yankee lines to the north. He leaves some detachments back in case there's some Yankee hanky-panky afoot. 2 turns in a row now, the South has been drawn last, and it's very uncommon, but there it is. It's to their advantage. They can react to whatever the North does, and they don't have to worry about the North doing anything they can't react to. Let us begin with Hooker's drive on the Confederate right. Crossing a bridge, the first turn, the Union is considered outflanked. Longstreet's men do 2 hits. Hooker's 1. Ricketts' green block is destroyed. The North continues to press, doing 1 hit. And again the Confederates do 2. Now across Snavely's Ford. It's very bloody. The Confederates do one of the rare 3 hits, which destroys Meade's green. None of the green block is lost, but even a regular block would have been lost. But they inflicted 2 hits themselves, which throws back the lead Confederate troops. And now the odds are more even. North does 1 hit, but the South does none. The 1 hit bounces off the broad chests of Hood's Texans. Round 2. Both blocks become spent. The Union forces took 2 hits, but this is Doubleday's elite. Both elite units are now spent. Round 3. Hood's Texans are thrown back. Hooker's 1st Corps has gained a foothold across the Antietam, but it looks doubtful if they could hold that. We'll see. It's now late morning. He attacks across the lower bridge. Next is Burnside's 9th Corps. Now Longstreet is drawn. He's already tried to alter turn order successfully. Now he must move. He hits the Yankees hard where they're crossing. There is not enough room for Jones to flank, so he holds his defense. Longstreet's going to gamble that he can hold. He brings his bags forward and unpacks them. Now a critical point I want to make is that if I were playing another opponent, he wouldn't know what that was. He wouldn't know those were unpacked bags until he came within line of sight of them. Playing double blind, I just don't abuse that knowledge. They don't know. But I do have it sitting face up so I can remember that that's where they are. And that allows Anderson's division to recover. Although an astute Union player would know that if they recovered, that's probably the bags. Maybe they're over here, but that was if he remembers right, that was cavalry coming around with Stuart. So he divines that must be the bags. But he doesn't know, he just assumes that's it. Next Franklin comes on, his 6th Corps, and you wonder what their orders would be. There's heavy activity on the Union right. There's heavy activity in the Union center. And of course, the heavy activity in the Union south. All three of these areas would just love it if Franklin would come to their aid. So Franklin enters in column, comes out of column, and deploys right here while they sort out where he should go. You know what? I forgot to do this combat last turn. Again, the flankers get 3 hits. That would be enough to destroy a veteran block. Fortunately, all that was at risk was a green block. Porter's veteran block falls back to the tree line. That was mid-morning cleanup. Now we're late morning. Porter has been drawn, and he falls back to the upper bridge. Next, Jackson is drawn. Now I'm also using, without formally using them, assuming I'm using the written orders rule. The order rules say that each army commander can change one corps commander's orders. Jackson's new orders are to form a line along the Antietam, primarily at these 2 crossings. Here's what that looks like. That is all the southern commands. What does the North do with what it has left? Well, first off, Mansfield falls back to these 2 fords along the Antietam. Now here's a case of division blocks looking a little odd. But rather than take the literal case that these are end-to-end all along here like that, I realized that this block can have its brigades positioned right here. And the same with this block. And this block. So that works. And the last jet drawn is 1st Corps. Doubleday charges across Myers Ford. Again, they have a tentative grip across the Antietam. Now Sumner's drive across to the lower ford. They both do 2 hits. The North has more men and they cross. Now Burnside's drive by Sharpsburg. Another green block is lost. The fighting is fierce and no one's left in control. Now it's battle in the center, the first round. Flanked on both sides, the flanks cancel each other out, but the South is defending in the sunken road. Burnside's green troops are destroyed. Next you have a cavalry detachment flanking a veteran block. The cavalry detachment is destroyed. The South has their first casualty. White's cavalry under Jackson's command. Now they're flanked in the sunken road. Ordinarily, the flanker gets a good die, and the flanked person gets the weak die. But the flanked character is in cover, so you lower the dice quality by 1. So the North gets a regular die, and the South gets the weak die. And the South does 2, and the North does 0. They are pushed back. The sunken road holds. And that's the late morning combat. Turn 4, early afternoon. First jet drawn is 1st Corps. Now does Longstreet want to jump ahead and move first, or wait and react to what the Union does? You know what? He does not want them crossing the Antietam with more forces. He attempts to alter the turn order. Successfully. I dig his chit out of the cup and place going first. The unpacked bags right here, these 3 spent blocks rally. But 3 blocks in a row, only the first 2 blocks count. This block, all it can do is get pushed back. So I'm going to move Walker, leave him spent. He doesn't rally yet. He's going to be right here guarding the bags. Instead, I've rallied the artillery and some of McLaw's men. But now this is tricky. Do I leave myself open to flank attacks? Nope, we've got a block we can place right there. Evans' detachment races forward and attempts to drive the troops into the Antietam. All they need to do is get 1 hit, and those spent troops will run. Now, Hooker moves. He's unpacked bags right there. That allows that block to recover, and this block charges in. And now the Union artillery is drawn. Now less than half of this block is in the way of this artillery or this artillery, so they can fire right past them at the Texans on the bank. 2 hits sends them reeling back. Do I want Jackson? Is Jackson going to try and drive across? That's exciting and different. Jackson's rides up to the hill. He changes his orders. This here is the city of Porterstown. His new orders say, capture that town. Now I could try and force my attack more guys along here, but if I get this crossing, these guys are going to pull back anyway, and I won't have to attack them outflanked. Now Ewell's men don't need to be told twice. They're going to charge Porterstown right out. Allow room for those lead men to come tumbling back if that happens. Move the artillery up to the tree line on the hill. The 2 detachments move outside of Gettysburg. 9th Corps holds. They can't go anywhere. Is Burnside's corps going to be destroyed in the Antietam? And now Pleasanton's moment has come. His cavalry charges across. Of course, Stuart has something to say about that. Sumner presses across at the lower bridge. These are Burnside's bags. They get pulled to safety, and Franklin simply attacks the Confederacy sees charging his lines. Alright, early afternoon, and this has gotten very interesting. Jackson's coming across the Antietam. At the same time, Hooker and Sumner are breaking through south of Sharpsburg. Hooker's attack across the bridge. Hooker's assault across Myers Ford has failed, and all cavalry comes crashing into a small detachment of Pleasanton's troops. They each do one hit. The elite Southern troops are unaffected, but of course the Union cavalry detachment is destroyed. Now the drive on Hood's division. The newly reformed Southern troops are driven back. And now the crossing at the bridge, and there's no retreat for the Confederates. Longstreet loses a block. And now another interesting situation. We have a Confederate detachment attacking two spent blocks of Union troops that cannot retreat. They are destroyed. So far the Southern Army has lost 2 detachments and 1 veteran block. There are 3 grades of blocks. There's green, veteran, and elite. The North has lost 1 veteran block and 5 green blocks and 1 detachment of cavalry. And now Franklin's 6th Corps attacking elements of Ewell's division, driving them back. And it's a good thing I intentionally left just enough room in case that happened, that these blocks also don't get pushed back and flipped to spent. I did not do that here, so if this unit gets pushed back, these guys will be flipped to spent also. Jackson, crossing the Antietam. Inflicting 2, which destroys another green block. 0 hits were done on the Confederates. So D.H. Hill has pierced the veil. He's across the Antietam. What will happen in the mid-afternoon? First out of the chute is the Union cavalry. Cap recovers automatically if it's uncontacted. That's what they do. First off, Hooker attempts to jump ahead of Longstreet, which he does. Longstreet attempts to jump ahead of Hooker. He fails. Hooker attempts to drive off the cavalry and cross again at Myers Ford. He's obsessed with getting across at Myers Ford. And now it's Longstreet's turn. What will he do? Of the 3 blocks that were just south of Sharpsburg, he rallied 2 of them and moved the other one south of the Bags on top of the hill. Union artillery fires down into Ewell's men, driving everyone back. 6th Corps builds a line. Sumner makes a drive on the Bags. Jackson unpacks Bags. 3 blocks rally, and he charges ahead. His artillery fires on the Yankees on the hilltop, driving them back. Porter sees the line becoming outflanked and falls back. Burnside unpacks Bags, and there is a short enough route to get to his troops, and they rally.
You know, 9th Corps is exhausted. They can't rally.
Mid-afternoon combat. Hooker again driving across the bridge. Again, he is driven back. Rickards on the cavalry. The cavalry simply rides off. No, you know what? They're not going to ride off. They're going to do this battle. Well, now Hampton will ride off. Fitzlee attacks. Stewart holds the line. And now the drive on the Bags. And Sumner's elite block has contacted the Bags. Jackson's drive across into Antietam. This ends with the South being forced back.
Because the undefended Bags have been contacted.
Because some people like to keep track of the points, let's count the points. North has destroyed 3, 6, 7, 8 points. Times 3 because the Bags were captured. That's 24 points. The North has lost 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 points. 19 points, 24 points. Because they lost the Bags and it was multiplied. The North has won Antietam. Good game. Now my intention in this game was to break through here and simply cut off the southern line of communications here and here. But I could never get across at Myers Ford. But in the end, I was able to contact the Bags. In retrospect, what I could have easily done was put that guy there, and now the Bags aren't contacted until everyone's pitched out of there. Of course, here I have a fresh elite block, and this, if I would have moved him there, he wouldn't have been rallied, so it would have been a spent block on that defense. But I didn't even guess it was going to be desperate at this moment. Those are the kind of decisions that make every game interesting. It could have went very differently. And what about this? I was about to sweep. If this had at least held, I could have swept this way. Here's some exposed Bags. Again, not a guaranteed thing. There are still some northern forces in the house. But didn't all have to happen here. there was this whole end of the battle going on because I stripped everything off of here to force the issue down here. Fascinating. Now the cool thing about playing solo is I can say, you know what, I want to do this again. I want to try this, same setup, same tactics, everything exactly the same. I don't want to adjust for anything because I want to see how this would work out. And even if I did the exact same thing again, it won't happen like this. The chit draw is going to be different, the combats are going to be different. Maybe I'll get across here really easy this time. Or maybe I'll have even worse luck and never get anywhere here. And the whole front will collapse. It depends on the chit draw and combat results. Now those aren't deciding factors, but how you react to what those results show is differently. You've got a different situation every time. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.